I'm ready when you are.
Welcome back, everybody, for episode 12 of the Triathlon Preview Show. We took a little week off to get everything straight after Kona, so we're here. We got a good weekend coming up. As always, myself and Emily are joining you.
Hey, everybody. Just finally recovered from Kona. It's, I think, hard being a spectator, too.
Yeah, it was definitely an interesting week.
Yeah, for sure.
So continuing this for the rest of October, we still have a Rudy Project discount. If you use the code TRYPREVIEW, one word, you get 50% off from Rudy Project. So go on there and check out all the discounts that you can get. I think also there's an extra discount if you order some clearance items too. Is that correct, Emily?
Yeah, I think you can get up to an extra 10 to 15% off on the clearance items. So that's pretty awesome. And the 50% off is going to go down to 25% after October. So if you've been waiting to buy, now's the time.
Yeah, they got some great products, so check them out and thank them for sponsoring the past couple episodes.
Yeah, they're awesome in Kona too. Like they're definitely a big promoter of ours and really love the show. So that's great.
So let's jump into some races. Everybody wants to know where the professionals are racing after Kona, the professionals that did and did not race Kona. So we're going to start out west with Ironman 70.3 Turkey. Emily, just give us a little quick information on Turkey.
Is that west or east? I can't. It depends on which way you go.
Oh, yeah.
Who knows?
Well, we'll say it's one way or the other.
Yeah, it's around the world. We know the world is round. So Turkey, we know that Frederick Van Leerd is racing. He had a really bad Kona. I think he ended up walking quite a bit of the marathon. So he's probably looking for a little redemption, and he's going to be challenged by our good friend Brad Williams. Brad is looking to take down Frederick Van Leerd this weekend. Pressure's on you, Brad.
All right, so we'll move one direction or the other, and we have 70.3 in North America. We have Miami. Emily, give us a little information on this race.
Yeah, so the swim is a one-lap swim. I know in the past it's been somewhat confusing. I feel like I've seen things where people have gone off course. I don't know if they start it super early in the morning and it's a little dark. So I know that sometimes sighting has been a problem there. The bike is just an out and back. It's on city streets, which makes it a little like you're just going through intersections they're all manned, obviously, by police, but it's Miami. There's a lot of traffic. So that kind of can be an issue sometimes. And then, so it's just out and back, flat, and then the run is 2 laps. It's flat. They might go over a little overpass, but other than that, it's just, it's hot. I looked at the weather, and it looks like it might actually be a little windy, so you could have a headwind or a tailwind for part of the bike, which might end up breaking some of it up, but it's going to be quite the drag race.
Yeah, so as far as the swim course, just a little more information on that. You kind of go out one way and make a right, and then you come back and make a right, and then another right, but it's not a square. It's kind of they're more like not 90-degree turns, like 60-degree turns. It's weird. They're really tight turns, and you come back on each other. So and it's kind of inside of a protected bay cove area.
Yeah, so I can see how that would get confusing because it's, when you're turning around those buoys, sometimes it's hard to get a real good handle on how far you've actually turned. So, and if there's another buoy kind of, that you see real quickly, like you might end up heading towards the wrong buoy. And I feel like that's happened in the past. So hopefully the pros are doing some good reconnaissance of that, and we'll wear light colored goggles if it's early in the morning.
Yeah, also on the run course, I think they go over the causeway. Did you mention that?
Yeah, so I think there's a little bit of a kind of steady incline up and down. So that's kind of the only hill they're going to run into.
All right, well, we definitely have a deep start list, at least on the male field, actually on the women's field too. So give us a little information on the start list, Emily.
Yeah, so I'm sure you remember, Zach, when we were talking to Sam out in Kona, he said he was going to not be racing this race and then get ready for Austin 70.3. So Sam's on the list, but from what he told us, he wasn't planning on racing. Then you have Michael Raylert, who was DQ'd and it was kind of weird at 70.3 Silverman for multiple drafting violations or something. So that was odd. But he's racing, and if it turns into kind of a drag race, foot race type thing, which I think it probably will, given the flatness of the bike course, he's definitely a threat. We talked to Taylor Reed, who's ready to go. He's a good runner. I mean, he's just kind of an all-arounder. I don't know if he can hang with kind of the big boys on the bike, like people like Starkowitz, who it looks like from his Twitter, he's gotten back into some training and looks to be fired up. Ben Collins, but Ben is coming off of Chattanooga, so it'll be interesting to see how he recovers. And then you have Dreets, who led everybody off the bike at 70.3 Worlds, and Cam Dye. So it's like you got a few really big bikers who are going to be out there to hit it. And then I feel like you're going to have a second group that'll still be relatively close that can run them all down, because those four guys just don't run like Reed or Ray Alert or even, Van Berkel. I think he's a pretty good runner. So it'll be interesting. And you also have someone like Andrew Yoder, who I guess he just started training again with Joel Filial. He seems to switch coaches quite a bit and ends up injured, but he'll definitely be off the front swim bike. His run is usually not great. And then there's also, I was just looking, Marco Albert. He's a real good swim biker too. So it's going to be interesting, but I think ultimately it's just going to come down to a foot race, and some of the guys off the front are going to melt in the heat.
Yeah, just to mention, Pedro Gomes is on the start list, but he's probably not racing because he just did Kona. And then Justin Metzler, he's down there, but he's one of the young guys to watch out for. Past rookie Team USA, of the year.
Yeah, I mean, and he's had a couple top fives at some races this season, and had a crappy 70.3 Worlds. I think he had a little bit of a bike spill before that, so just didn't do quite as well. So he might be looking to capitalize. And honestly, I think you're going to have some blowups at the front of the race. I mean, Cam Dye's run has really not been great. He's been running like 121s to 124s, and if you have someone like Michael Raylert running you down, that's just not going to work. You're not going to have that many minutes on him off the bike.
Yeah, Cam Dye's taken third his past two, Silverman and Timberman. But yeah, he's been run down at basically all of them.
Yeah, I mean, that's how he races from the front. He just, for whatever reason, he hasn't had the run to kind of back the bike up yet. And it could be because he's been not forced, but he's had to make this jump to 70.3 racing probably a little bit sooner than he expected with the evaporation of all the Olympic distance races last year.
All right, well, we got a good little list there. Definitely a bunch of contenders and people that should be racing from behind, so it should be a good little race on a faster course. How about the women's race?
Yeah, so you definitely have to look at Leanna Cave, who crashed in Kona and just had she was so ready, I think, and just had a shit day. So, and this is a home race for her, so look for her. She told me, and you'll see in the interview that we'll put it in the show notes, a link to the interview, but she hasn't been able to do a ton of really hard efforts just because she's been healing for, she got all scraped up and bruised, but she's ready to go and she's strong, and maybe it'll take her a little bit to warm up, but I'm sure she wants to kind of do her fitness justice. And she's going to be kind of locking horns with Sarah Haskins, who's had an up and down year. She was getting ready to do a debut Ironman at Texas and then got injured and switched over and did some 70.3s and then got injured again. And so she might have some good late season fitness. I actually saw a picture of her on Twitter, and she was testing her race day bike setup, and she's super aero on the bike, but she had freaking 5 water bottles on there. She had 3 water bottles on her handlebar, like her between her arms, and then one on her down tube, and then one behind her butt. And I was just thinking, like, there are aid stations. So I don't know what that was about. She had it totally loaded up. It was just, check her Twitter, because I was confused. And I'm saying all this and she'll probably win, but it just didn't look very clean of a setup. And you also have someone like Jen Spielander, who got injured. She won Challenge Penticton and then had a little bit of a bike spill. And well, she raced high V after Penticton and then fell off her bike, and it was just healing from that. So she'll be up there after the swim for sure, and she always races hard. So look out for her. I mean, it'll just be question mark on how the body responds. And then you also have someone like Leslie Smith, who's going to be off the back after the swim, but she has been running like 120s and 121s this year and has found her way onto podiums. And then Nikki Butterfield, she's been pretty good this year. I feel like she's getting better. And then number 71, Michaela Harold Bauer, we'll say that, from Austria. She's done well in some European Ironmans, more of a bike runner. So someone to look out for. You definitely have some people that don't normally race in North America. So it'll be interesting to see how they go. And Anna Cleaver, really good swim biker, but her run sometimes lets her down.
Yeah, definitely has an interesting start list for both the females and the males. If you had to pick the winners of each, who are you going with, Emily?
Well, I'm going to have to say Michael Rayler. If he's not injured, he usually races pretty well late season. And if he doesn't draft and get DQ'd, he probably will win. Not taking anything away from Taylor Reed. I think Taylor Reed is actually really solid and could give him a run for his money. I think Taylor Reed is someone who could definitely run with Raylert. So we'll see. It's going to be, this bike course is, I don't want to say easy, but it's flat and things just don't tend to break up. So if you're going with a pure runner, I mean, Raylert's, he can run under 110 if he's healthy. So we'll see. And he's good in the heat. For the women, I think I'm going to have to go with Leanda Cave. I think she's probably pissed off, and I think she'll just be ready to hit it and do well. I think she'll end up probably running faster than Sarah Haskins, and that's how she'll win.
All right. Well, yeah, those are definitely two of the topper picks, and I mean, it's always good to go safe. I mean, rather than try to go some other way. But like you said, I mean, Kay, the hometown race, you can't go against her. And then, I mean, yeah, Rayler, the last race he was leading and then got DQ'd and stopped racing. So that was definitely an interesting, thing there.
I don't think he actually stopped racing. I think he crossed the finish line first.
Okay, so he crossed the finish line first and then he got DQ'd. Okay.
Yeah, which in some USA triathlon races, you would be suspended for a year. You're not, once they DQ you, you have to leave the course. So WTC rules are a little bit different on that. I don't know. It's interesting. Like, I don't know how could you not know that you got 3 or you were protesting or whatever? But if you think my picks are safe, what are your picks?
Taylor Reed and Linda Cave.
Okay, so you're just going, you think Taylor Reed?
I think Taylor Reed is, I think you've turned me on to Taylor Reed, and he's ready for the win now. I mean, last race he ran into second. Yeah. So.
Yeah, and I don't think he ran that much slower than Raylert at Silverman. Correct me if I'm wrong. So, and if Raylert was drafting on the bike, then he got an unfair advantage. So,
yeah,
you don't know like what this race is going to be like as far as how closely it'll be officiated. Like, you see that from time to time. So, I mean, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. All right, well, let's move on to Ironman 70.3 Cabo. It looks like we have a little smaller start list, but that definitely does not mean it's lacking high-powered names. So give us some information on the course first.
Yeah, so the swim is definitely going to be non-wetsuit. It's 1 lap. It's in a protected bay, but Cabo has a little more tendency, I think, to have a little more movement in the water, so to speak. So even if there might not be waves, I wonder if there could be kind of currents underneath that could make the swim harder. It's a 1 lap bike. It's hilly. It's on good pavement. It'll be hot. It can definitely get windy down there in Baja, California. And then it's a 2 lap run that's mostly flat. So I think opposite of Miami, this is going to be the type of race that's going to string out on the bike a little bit because it is hilly and it could be windy. So there'll be some some things kind of, breaking up the field a little bit versus just a flat course. And I think, as we look at the men's race, there's definitely some bikers who are going to want to get away. Like Cody Beals is excited about this course. David Giardini, who didn't he tell us he just started working with Matt Dixon?
Yeah, that's correct. I don't remember if he said he's doing it this season or starting next season.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, he was like really solid at the first part of the year, like May and stuff, and then he kind of like he wasn't out biking people the same way, and so we'll see. Maybe he'll get a little late season bump, and start lighting it up. But I think Cody Beals is definitely motivated to break this up, and then someone like Derek Garcia is someone to look out for. He's actually just starting to be coached by Elliot Bassett, who was on our show in Kona. And I mean, he's been up there, at Wildflower. He was up there at Whistler. He just got fourth there, and he's just a solid athlete. And then you have people like Chris Lefferman and Chris Baird, who aren't the greatest of swimmers, but they're strong bike runners. So they could be people who kind of move through if there's a little carnage on the run. Same with Patrick Evo. He likes hard bike courses. Not the strongest swimmer in the world, but he could move through the field, as it gets hot and stuff. Leon Griffin, he was really good in the early part of the year and then just has not been quite the same. So maybe he's looking to get back and kind of, I think he finished 7th at Cozumel. So maybe he'd like to kind of move up on that.
Yeah, just a little information more on the bike course. So it kind of starts with a couple little small rollers, but most of the climbing is at the end. So, from mile like 34 to, 56, you're definitely going to have like 2 big climbs and then a downhill. So you can't be going out too fast at the beginning. You got to save some of your energy for that backside.
Yeah, for sure. And if it's hot in the beginning and you go too hard and then you hit those hills and then it'll be even hotter and you'll be going slower, I mean, that could definitely cause some people to be hurt and coming into T2 for sure.
Yeah, and just to mention Cody Beals, we did talk to him, and I mean, he said second is not an option. I mean, he is there to win. He's had a couple seconds, a couple thirds recently. I think Eagle Man was his last win, but he wants to win. He wants that big payday. That's why he's going down there instead of Miami. He gets a little more money for his taxes he was talking about, but yeah, he's going for the win, nothing else.
Okay, so do you think that means he would run the risk of blowing up a little bit, or is he like going for the win in a smart way?
From what I know of him, he'll go for the win in a smart way, but I don't think he'll hold back. If he sees an opening, he's going to make it. So especially on that bike course, as you mentioned, he's a strong biker. So if he sees an opening if him and David can go, he knows he's a better runner than David. I mean, he's already proven it at Galveston. He caught up to him. So, I mean, there's no reason for him not to get a couple guys there that he knows he can outrun and just go on the bike.
Yeah. I mean, and you also have someone like Matt Lieto who's going to bike hard up front. So there could be a good group that works together. Maybe they put the hammer down on that last hill. But I bet there will definitely be a little bit of carnage on the run.
Yeah. Especially after the hills, you just don't know how it's going to affect people until you get there.
Yeah, for sure.
So the women's start list, it's a little smaller, but it has a couple good names. Emily, give us some information on this list.
Yeah, so I mean, the one that stands out is Magali Teixeira, 4th at Worlds, and she likes this type of course. I mean, she's good on the bike and she's a strong runner, and I don't think the heat will affect her too much. Someone like Melanie McQuaid is also really strong on the bike, but has a little bit of trouble in the heat. So I get a little bit worried about Melanie in the heat. I think she had some trouble at Silverman. It was really hot. So I think she's got to pace herself on the bike to be able to put together a strong run in the heat. And Amanda Stevens, she had a DNF at Kona. So she's definitely looking to kind of get a little redemption from that. And, she'll be off the front on the swim. So, and, she might be joined by someone like Ricardo Lisk, who's pretty strong. And I believe Ricarda did get a top 10 at Worlds. So she's a strong racer. She's strong throughout. Carrie Lester is also on the list, and she is super strong on the bike and just did great at Chattanooga. She kind of destroyed the field there. So if she's recovered, she'll do pretty well. And then Pamela Tassets, I think, is someone to look out for from Chile. She doesn't race up here that often. I do believe she's working with the triathlon squad. So she's going to be someone who's consistent and strong. So she might sneak in there and finish higher than I guess than you would notice before the race.
All right, yeah, definitely some good information. If we had to look out for two dark horses in this race, which one would they be?
I don't know if she's completely a dark horse, but I think Ricardo Lisk definitely has podium potential, and she seems to be doing better late season than she did early season. So she's someone to look for podium wise on the women's side. On the men's side, I'm going to have to say Lefferman or Beard, the two Chris's, number 7 and number 20. I think they're people who could definitely move up.
All right. Well, we do have one more other race. We have an ITU World Cup race. It is the last of the year. I'm not even going to try to pronounce this city, but we'll just go with South Korea. So, Emily, give us a little information on this race.
It is a 2-lap swim. They get out on the pontoon and then, run and dive in. The bike is 8 by 5K, just like normal. 2 hills, though, each loop, 13% and 15%. It didn't say how long each hill was, but maybe that'll help. That'll definitely put the sting in the legs. So you got, 16 hills. And then the run is just flat 4 by 2.5K. So on the men's side, the people I looked at, that you wouldn't normally look at are Martin van Riel. He's a Belgian guy. He was off the front at Gold Coast in April. And I don't know if anybody saw this, but he was leading going into transition and just totally caught an edge on his bike and flipped over and actually broke his pelvis. So he's back racing. This will be 3rd or 4th race back. And he likes to race off the front and do bike breakaways. So, I mean, he might be off the front, just, he just likes to take a flyer off the front. He can't, I don't think he'll back it up with a huge run, but that's definitely his MO. He might be joined by Colucci, who rode up to the front in Chicago. And then you also have the Polyanskis brothers who always seem to do that. But they'll definitely be joined by, Eric Lagerstrom, Ben Knut, Joe Malloy's there. And they're looking at some Olympic points, I believe. So they want to do well. Greg Billington is coming off his foot injury in Chicago. So I expect he'll be strong on the swim bike. The run is just a question mark. And then Jared is coming back from his collarbone break in Rio. So he needs some points and probably just to do well to kind of, remind everybody that he's still around and still wants to get that Olympic slot. For the men, though, I mean, Eric Lagerstrom has just been racing really well. And I think, he could finish up near the pointy end of the field in this race. Same with Joe Malloy. If he has a good run, his run in Chicago wasn't that great. So he'll probably be looking for a little redemption there.
Yeah, the 2 hills are 13% grade and 15% grade. So,
yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, it just depends on how long they are. If it's just a little bump, but, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it could break it up a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I would hope it does. It makes it a little more exciting if it breaks it up, have a couple, chase packs coming through.
Yeah, or I mean, even if it doesn't break it up, at least if it makes people's legs tired for the run, then it's a more, not honest, but, then you get a really good, everyone's not coming off fresh, I guess.
Yeah.
Is what I'm trying to say. So.
All right. See. Well, what about this women's start list? It looks like we have definitely some high-profile names, on the start list, just looking it over.
Yeah, I mean, so you have Lisa Norden, she's just been on the injury merry-go-round and just DNF'd at a race in Turkey this past weekend. So don't know exactly kind of what her deal is there. I mean, she will definitely be up there in the swim and the bike. The question mark is just the run. She's signed up to do that Island House triathlon, so don't know kind of how that fits in. And then you have the Japanese women like Ayu Eda, Yuka Sato, Yuri Ide. Ayu Eda and Yuri Ide were 8th and 10th in Chicago, respectively. So really strong, good runners, and they're racing close to home. Like it's not been a long travel day for them. So, they might be just a tad fresher. And Yuka Sato she was just in Cozumel, got 16th there. She was 16th in Rio, really good swimmer. So she'll be up there with Carolina Routier and Pamela Oliveira, off the front kind of. And then I think it'll probably turn into a running race. And if it does, and Ayueda is running well, I think she might be able to take it. She's just one of those Japanese, and she just gets her turnover going and just crushes people on the run.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. To me, I think she's the highest, ranked as far as the WTS series goes. So she's definitely one of the more clear favorites in the race.
Yeah, the Juliana Yelistrava, I might have just totally butchered that. She won the World Cup in Turkey last week. I looked at the highlights. I mean, she ran really well. So she's kind of like riding a good high and is excited and not too tired from travel. She's definitely someone who could be up there too.
Awesome. Do you have any final comments, Emily, on any of the races we previewed today?
No, I always think that fall racing is really kind of interesting because you have people in so many different ways. Like some people are ready to be done with the season, are kind of tired and mentally over it. Some are really fresh and ready to go and kind of like, I want to end my season really well, and are just more relaxed and having fun. And then some people are tired. I mean, it just, you have a whole bunch of people racing for kind of different reasons. Some need points, some want to finish off well, some are, sometimes don't know why they sign up. So I think there's definitely some different dynamics that take place, and I feel like you get a few more surprises in the fall. And people definitely, I'm a big believer in having points leading into the new year. You can't start with zero. It's so hard now. Accumulating points, you just put yourself way behind the 8 ball. So that's why I think people keep racing.
Yeah, I mean, from the people I talked to, which I won't name names, but most of them said, they didn't want to sign up for a late fall race, but it was something that they needed to do to get a head start on next year. So it was just something that they're going into. They're hoping for a great race, but it's just kind of like to end the year off. They need to do one more race, and that's what they're going to do.
Right. And so like mentally, if it's like, I got to do one more race, and then if it's just hard, which it can be at the end of the year because it's been a long year, they kind of, it's not easier to fold, but it's like, okay, I've had a great year. Like you're just more relaxed as far as like, in a way, as far as just being like, okay, like it's just time to be done.
You're right. I mean, the mentalities are definitely all over the place at the end of the year rather than beginning of the year, middle of the year. I think everybody's in the exact same mentality. When you have early season races or mid-season races, everybody's in the exact same mentality. Everybody knows they're going out. They need to have a good race to set up a great season. Mid of the season, they're ready to show what they got. End of the season, you have people all over the place. You don't know if they're thinking this is their big last finale, or if this is the end of my retirement, or if this is going to jumpstart next season. Everybody's just all over the place. Definitely is what I feel like too.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, I think it's easy to look beyond the race and be like, after this, I get a break. And if you look too far, you kind of miss all the little things you need to keep doing to lead up to the race, because you're almost looking beyond it and being like, I get a break after this. So you don't want to look too far forward.
All right. Well, remember everybody, Rudy Project discount is Try Preview. We'll have the link in the show notes. 50% off through the end of October, and then in November it'll kick down to 25%. I think is what it is.
Yep. Do your Christmas shopping now.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us, and we'll catch you next time.
Thanks, everybody.